15.5, the last piece. 15.5, aka the suckfest. Okay, so let's kick it off with the warm-up. Row, surprise, surprise, we want to get you to elevate your heart rate using rowing and focus on the technique. Now, one of my best pieces of advice here is to go to concept2.com and look at the technique videos, okay? Turns out that there's a lot of technique into rowing and you can build efficiency in this piece. So spend this time refining your technique. Don't just jump on the rower and row without focus. Then little short intervals like we've done, 10 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 10 seconds being hard effort, 3 to 5 times. You want to just get hot and sweaty. Prep the movement patterns. So again, you've got a lot of hip flexion happening, you've got a lot of squatting happening. How are you going to prep those? 27 squats, maybe some animal movement patterns, it's your call. Then any additional mobs, you can check out our mobility video, for example, for some tips what you could do. And then 3 to 4 sets of about 7 calorie row and 5 thrusters, picking up on the intensity each time. Rest maybe about 30 seconds between, and then make sure you get 3-4 minutes rest before you go. You want to be hot and sweaty, good to go, ready with these movements before you start the workout, because it is going to be a spicy piece. If you haven't warmed up the energy systems, you're not already going, breathing heavy, then it's going to be a tough day. Now, the setup, nothing too crazy. Make sure you have a battery in your rower and make sure it's maintained well, okay? Nothing worse than an old rower that's poorly maintained and you're trying to crank those calories out. It's not going to work out. Plates, obviously no bounce. You're going to drop the thruster at some point, at least at the end of the set, so you don't want to bounce around. And then ollie shoes will definitely make a difference on both of these movements. You want to wear them. Okay, now let's talk about the movements. Rowing, go to concept2.com and check out their writings about how to increase your efficiency, how to increase the power output on the rower, and actually action on them. Okay, practice the mechanics. This is going to be the bigger piece in here, the longer piece, so you want to make sure that you maximize the efficiency in here. Next one, this is kind of under concept 2, but drive to recovery ratio should be 1 to 2. If you take 1 second to finish the drive, you take 2 seconds to recover. Okay, that just guarantees more efficiency in the movement. Your damper setting is going to probably be high. If you're a smaller athlete, maybe around 7 or a little bit higher. If you're a bigger athlete, over 8 all the way up to 10. Not optimal for calories for rowing for distance, but for calories, we tend to get better results with the higher power output. The more you put in, the more you get out. And then a stroke rate for, at least for the guys, about 24-ish, so lowish stroke rate. We want to keep that 1 to 2 ratio. If you're a very small athlete, you might have to go a higher stroke rate. If you need to get 2 pulls to get 1 calorie, you might need to go a little bit higher, but this is probably going to help you to sustain the pace a little bit easier than if you go too fast out the gates. Again, remember, it's not for meters, it's for calories, so it's a little bit different outtake. On the thrusters, breathe, light load, you should be able to breathe through this. If you stop breathing, you're going to get lactic too early and it's going to blow out. Okay, so keep breathing. Next one, hips before arms. So of course, extend the hips fully before you press the arms overhead. Reverse on the return. Don't rush the squat. You can start to squat a little before you return, but don't rush it from the overhead position. You're just going to stable yourself onto ground. And then the stance. You don't want to limit the depth by artificially slowing yourself down at the bottom, but you can take a little wider stance than your normal squat. If it's something that you've practiced, obviously don't change anything on the game day, but that might tax a little bit different muscle groups than a very narrow stance squat if that's what you're used to, which is very similar to rowing. Okay, if you can get more hips rather than quads into this, that would help you when you get back on the rower. Just one more thing here on the row, of course, the mechanics, we talked about the efficiency. If you're not going to watch the video, then at least think drive with the legs first, then you're going to extend the hip, lean back, and then finish with the pull. On the return, it's the opposite. Arms go first, hips close, and then the legs will bend. That's at least the minimal effective dose, but really recommend that you work on your rowing over the weekend. Now, when we talk about pacing, the 27 and 21 on the row, you probably want to pace. Don't go too fast out the gates, like I did. You will die. You want to have some kind of maintained pace. And then on the 15s and 9s, especially the 15s, is really the round where you make or break this workout. So that's go time. Okay, 9 is easy. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. But here, the 15, you're going to have to dig deep, and you really have to dig deep if you want to make it to that regional spot. On the thrusters, non-negotiable. If you want to make the regionals this year, you're going to go unbroken. okay? If that's not you, you're working at a different level, then you might need to break it down and you want to think of maybe negative splits. So you do a bigger chunk first and then a smaller chunk, even if it's 3 sets. And then equal splits is another option. If you don't want to do more than 3 sets on the thrusters, 2 sets better than 3, 1 set better than 2, you get the point. The goal is to go unbroken, stay relaxed and breathe throughout. Now, here's just something that we have from, so CrossFit rowing blog is not an official CrossFit rowing blog, but somebody's blogging. There's an X-row, just look at these relationships between the average 500 meter splits and the calories per hour paces, okay? This should give you an idea. Don't take this for face value, you know, it might not be absolutely correct, but it gives you a little bit of an idea how you might want to pace the work. You're probably not going to start here for most of you guys, okay? So it's going to be somewhere in here that you're going to work. Choose a pace and try to maintain the pace. Guess what? It's going to drop on the second round. Don't let it, okay? Now, finally, transitions. This is where you're going to lose a lot of time. So this here applies to transitions, okay? You can Google it if you don't know what it means. Now, don't spend too much time, okay? And if you do break the thrusters, you want to make sure you get back on the bar as soon as possible. You might need a little encouragement from your friends when you want to slow down. Don't slow down. So, ultimately, this last piece, aka the suck fest, will come down to if you can handle the suck. Good luck.